going to go. He's recording, and I think we can go ahead and start the session. Just share my screen quickly. Cool. You guys see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Cool. Okay, so welcome everybody to our, I think it's our third community outreach call. Time's flying quite quickly. So yeah, just to bring you guys, make you guys aware of this, of our antitrust, Hyperledger antitrust policy notice, as well as the code of conduct. I think Esteban summarized this quite nicely last week, which meant just be a good person. So yeah, we got a little bit of a cool agenda today. I'd like to do some introductions with new people that have joined. We got some exciting updates in the sense that the PR has been submitted for the Hyperledger project. I will be posting a little bit of a link later, so you guys can go and have a look. We've got Bassam that's joining us today. He's going to be showing us a little bit of the non-credit credential issuance and verification. Our community spotlight, we've got the Africa Blockchain Center on the line. They're going to be talking about a little bit about what they do. Last but not least, we love our call up contributions and shout out to some of our community members. And in the last section, we'll have a Q&A or ask us anything. So, any new members on the call today that would like to introduce themselves? No, Jadal, you haven't been on the call before. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Let me open my camera at least I can say hi properly to everyone. Yeah, so hi everyone. Like Fayad has mentioned, my name is Gerald. I'm part of the team at Africa Blockchain Center and happy to be here. At least I've been wanting to join one of these calls, but my schedule has been a bit busy. At least I'm happy I got the heads up from Fayad as well. Thanks.
Awesome. Glad to have you, Jadal, and look forward to your presentation later. Okay. Okay, on to exciting updates. Yes, so the PR has been submitted to Hyperledger, and yes, we are going to become a project. I will be posting the link a little bit after I'm chatting, and once I hand over to Bassam. So you guys are welcome to have a look at it, see some of the questions being asked by the Technical Oversight Committee. I mean, if you guys have questions as well, feel free to ask. Okay, so we've come to the point in the meeting, I think, where I need to keep quiet and let Bassam take over the reins, more of the good stuff. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Bassam to give us a presentation on the non-credit credential issuance and verification within Hyperledger Identis, a new name.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Faid. I'm going to share my screen. Share desktop one. I will give it permission. Give me a second. Hi again. All right, sharing now. It's working. Okay, awesome. All right, so I have great news. So a couple upcoming release, we're going to release the support for our credit verification following to the issuance. So I'll just go do a quick demo. Basically, now you can have like agents talking to each other, each one assuming multiple roles: the issuer, the verifier, the holder, and exchange uncred related responses such as uncred requests, credentials, presentation. This is a very quick demo. It's a test that spins up multiple Docker containers as agents, assuming different roles. As you can see, your issuer, holder, verifier, and it's going to do the exchange of those different credentials, unaccredited credentials, and verify them as well. So to start, just to skip the boilerplate here, the issuer creates unaccredited schema, unaccredited credential definition. The issuer offers unaccredited to the holder. The holder receives the credential offer. The holder accepts the credential offer. And then finally, the issuer issues the credential and the holder receives the credential. Now, we can verify this. Now, a verifier sends an unaccredited request to the holder here. And then the holder receives an unaccredited presentation request. The holder accepts it. And the verifier can then accepts it and sends the credential that's supposed to answer to the presentation request. And then the verifier finally verifies it. Now, to quickly skim through those specific lines here, it's basically API calls, right? We specify like the unaccredited request. What do we expect? We first create this is the schema with multiple attributes, as you can see here. And then credential definition, which points to the schema. These are basically what we create here. And then eventually, this is where we send the presentation request with the payload. What do we expect? We expect that that person to the holder to be 18 and above. And that's one of the verification we're going to verify. And then finally, the holder responds with the list of credential that's supposed to answer for those attributes, which they received from the issuer early on. So now if I go here and simply run the test, this will spin up multiple Docker containers. Oops, sorry. Successful. Okay, technical issue. Anyways, it ran earlier here. I think anyways, it ran earlier here, right before the meeting I tested it. But yeah, so you see like that started, we have the exchange of the issuer, the holder, everything I showed you earlier. And eventually the verifier verifies it and passes. But for some reason, now it's not, let me read the error quickly. Maybe I can. Anyways, so I apologize for this. I'm gonna check it out what's happening. Maybe I probably copied the code by mistake somewhere while I was showing you the presentation. But yeah, it's working. It's going to be released in upcoming release. But yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for some. Just one question. Do we know when the release is going to be, more or less?
Now currently is being under QA testing. Should be maybe the upcoming week or two.
Nice, nice. Cool. Are there any questions from the community for Bassam?
Yeah, I have one question.
And
Is this
John?
is this just for Cloud Agent? Or will
Yes.
Edge agents be able to do this? Okay.
The Cloud Agent, the Edge Agent also will be able to do this. We do the send a request among each other. But specifically this announcement here, we're talking about specifically only agent to agent, the backend talking to each other via APIs. And those APIs can be triggered via the Edge Agent. We already have the API supported there.
Great, thank you.
Quick question. So based on what I see here, the verifier role, well, both of them, of course, need to know the schema, right? So to know what do you want to assert, right? What I want to verify as a verifier, right? Okay, so now I ask the holder, all right, I want to assert these three things. On the response, do they have to provide all those three to make a valid response, or is optional, or is any flexibility in there on what do they want to respond or not? What by protocol, I mean?
It depends on the request. If the request specifically requests age above 18, I don't know, hair color of red, not sure. If that credential, if the request for this, now is the duty of the holder to give us proof. could be in a form of multiple credentials. Each one could be answering to a different attribute in the request, right?
Okay.
If the holder sends a credential with answering to one attribute, it will fail.
Mhm.
If-
Right. Okay. But my question is, can I flag some of the claims as optional to respond, or no? It's always like it's this or nothing.
It's always this or nothing for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Any additional questions on the line for Bassam? Nothing. Okay, cool. Thanks, Bassam, for the awesome presentation. Look forward to seeing this in the next 2 weeks.
Me too.
Okay,
All right. Thank you, guys.
next up, I'm going to invite Gerald, come and present to us. Gerald's from the Africa Blockchain Center, and they've been helping out PLP, making use of Atala Prism. So, Gerald, without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to you. Give us a little bit of an update of what you've been up to, how you've been finding the code, and can you tell us a little bit more about the Africa Blockchain Center?
All right, thank you. Let me just go ahead and share my screen as well. Okay, thank you. So, like Fahad has mentioned, I'm part of the Africa Blockchain Center. Here based in Nairobi, but we do have an office in South Africa, Tanzania, and Rwanda as well, in terms of where we're operating. So we're mostly focused on capacity building, product development, and research amongst some of the things we're doing at the lab specifically. So for capacity building, we're mostly working with the IOHK team, mostly through LAS, in terms of some of the trainings that we're doing. And in terms of product development, we're working on a track and trace solution. And now this, the verifiable credentials platform that we're also working on here at the lab as well. And basically just our vision is to see how can we make people more aware of the things that they can build in the blockchain space in Africa, and also just to see what kind of products can we develop and how can we also help the space grow as well. So also would like to thank the Atala team, because I know Fayad, Anushka, and Esteban have been very supportive over the last year and a half in terms of the things that we've been able to do and build. So this is just more in terms of what Africa Blockchain Center does, in terms of consultancy, research, and development. But that's mostly just a focus on how we're using Atala and how we're implementing it with the PLP project. So I'm just going to go over this quickly. So the Powerland project, similarly to Africa Blockchain Center, is focused on capacity building, but they're more focused in terms of digital skills from software development and other things within the space as well. And how Africa Blockchain Center is partnered with or working with PLP is, how do we make it such that the learners progress in terms of the skills that they develop? How are we able to issue them verifiable credentials representing their learning journey that is tied to their decentralized identity? And what Atala is offering was perfect for that as well, because one of the key challenges is there are lots of people who have difficulty accessing specific learning opportunities. And when they do, they don't have a viable way of verifying that they actually have gone through these particular trainings and that they're qualified for some of the jobs that they would apply for in this specific time as well. So that's basically what we've been working on with the Powerland project team. In terms of progress in where we are at the moment, we've been able to at least integrate the Atala agents in terms of the functions for being able to issue people with identities on the blockchain, as well as verifying credentials and issuing them as well. What we've been working on the last month or so has been now migrating to the mainnet or Cardano with support from Esteban and the rest of the team as well. So the last month or so, we've just been testing and trying to see if everything is up to speed. I would allow to do a demo for you guys as well in terms of how the product currently looks like as well. But the PLP team was currently unavailable today because of another engagement. But at least they're able to basically send their best regards to the rest of the community as well. But in terms of where we are at, it's been good thus far. The only, I think, Fayed, you asked about the experience or how it's been working with the team. Maybe if you could clarify.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, that's a question about the experience of with Atala. I didn't quite get
Oh,
to it.
yes. In terms of how have you guys been finding making use of Atala? How's the documentation been, etc.?
Sorry,
Okay.
pardon, can you come again?
How have you guys found the making use of the documentation, making use of the code? Your journey from DevNet all the way to mainnet. Love to hear a little bit about that.
I think one of the key things that I would mention has been, I think Atala has gone through a number of changes in terms of the versions and maybe the releases over the years. So at first it was pretty challenging getting up to speed with how the technology works. But I think after the beta program that happened around, must have been February, March last year, we were able to at least interact with the rest of the testers. It became a bit clearer in terms of how exactly we could utilize the code and everything. Currently what we're doing is, obviously we've set up our own local agents on our servers as well, and we decided to implement it via the open API specs. So the roadmap we have was, first, let's implement it as a backend service. And once we did that with PLP last year around September, we saw that it was a success, and at least there was positive feedback from the rest of the community, specifically the learners in PLP as well, who are excited for it. So that also gave us the idea of what we're currently working.
That's fantastic to hear. My last question might be a difficult one, but your biggest challenge throughout this journey, what has been your biggest challenge? And if you could share a little bit about that with us.
I've had I think we've had two major challenges in the last year. Firstly has been, I think, since I don't think there are lots of people working on any SSI solutions. So there'll be periods of time during the year you have meetings with Esteban, like maybe 2 or 3 times in a month, just discussing what's the update on the documentation. Maybe we've discovered a couple of bugs here and there that would inform Esteban about, then the dev team would get back to us maybe a bit later than we were expecting, because maybe investors would be having their own specific timelines. But as devs, you'd understand that maybe sometimes you may need to take a step back and take some time to deal with some of those problems. So that was one major challenge. Then the other thing would have to be the cybersecurity aspect of how the agents work, because I'm assuming maybe the people who've been developers in the space for quite a long time. So maybe the challenges that they've not experienced that maybe we have. But in terms of, for example, when setting up the agents, there are lots of other security considerations that we need to take into account, specifically in terms of how the Docker containers that have been set up are communicating with some of the APIs that we're able to set up, as well as with external resources. We realized that we had to do a lot of our own configurations on top of what the team has provided. So going about that has also been an interesting learning experience as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. That's quite insightful. And there are a couple of team members on the call as well. I'm sure they find it insightful too. I do want to open the floor up at this point in time to anyone that might have a couple of questions for Gerald and team. No one. Okay. That's perfectly fine. Cool. I will go ahead and continue. Give me 2 seconds to share my screen. Okay. I think we've come to the last portion. I know there's actually a couple of questions you guys might have at the end of this, but as always, before I go on to core contributions, I do want to give a special shout out to the C-Sign guys as well as Bjorn. You guys have been awesome this week. We have taken note. It hasn't gone unnoticed the amount of support you guys have been providing the Discord service. So I do appreciate that. I just want to say thank you for that as well. Those of you that are interested in contributing, definitely go ahead and contribute. I mean, there's a couple of reasons why you should contribute. You get hands-on experience, as always. You guys have probably heard me say this multiple times last week, or the week before. You get to enhance your skills, collaborate with like-minded individuals from all around the world, which I think is an awesome opportunity. You make a meaningful impact in this specific industry. I think by contributing to our cutting edge tech. And obviously, last but not least, you boost your visibility in the open source community. So definitely, guys, if you have any ideas and you want to contribute to the code base, go ahead and do that. If you guys are not sure on how to do that, Esteban has recorded. We did record it 2 weeks ago, so I'll post a link to that recording a little bit later during the call. Okay, last but not least, the Q&A section. Are there any questions on the line for me or the team specifically? Nothing. Okay, seems like it's going to be a short and sweet meeting. There are no questions, guys, and I'm gonna go ahead and end this call. We will be having this call in another 2 weeks, and I hope to see you guys during our maintain and contributor call.
Can I
Oh,
share my
wait.
screen quickly?
Yeah,
It's
sure,
actually
sure.
working now. Yeah, it's working now.
Fantastic, go for it. Let me stop sharing.
Share. Do you see?
Yes.
Perfect.
It's running now. These Docker containers, they're running now as we speak. The agents are talking to each other. So now the holder accepts the credential offer. Yeah. So this one is proof verified. Yeah. So that's it. That's all there is to it.
One question about that process, real quick, before you go.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So what are you sending back as proof? Because who makes the assertion basically on which side? Is it the verifier that, because let's say you are trying to assert, oh, are you over 18, right? What
Yeah.
comes back? It comes back the age, or it comes back like true or false, or how can you trust? I know that this whole thing is, how can you
Yeah,
trust
so-
the other side is not lying to you, basically,
Yeah,
right?
so-
But I
so
cannot
ba-
understand what's going on in between.
Yeah, so the verifier sends a
Mhm.
presentation request, and then the holder has to send a proof that answers those attributes, age above 18 and so on. And what the holder does is he replies with a set of credentials. Those
Mhm.
credentials are signed and created by the issuer, right?
Mhm.
And those are uncredited credential. Part of them are basically they're secret, right? They're
Yeah.
selective disclosure, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying these are my credentials as a holder, and this credential answers to this attribute, age above 18, and this other one answer to the other attribute requested, and this gets transformed into a presentation, verification presentation, and then it's sent to the verifier. The verifier now has what? The initial request he made, along with a list of the credentials with the disclosed part of those credentials. But
Okay,
since those
so-
credentials are signed by the issuer and they selectively disclose those attribute,
yeah.
you can trust those.
Yes, I understand that, but okay. So what you disclose as a holder, do you disclose your age? You send like, oh, I don't know, 40,
No,
right?
no.
What
you
what
don't
do you
disclose yours.
disclose?
Yeah, no,
Okay, so-
what it does is it listens to it checks the attribute above 18, and
Yeah.
basically that thing makes sure it's the correct one, and then gets sent to the verifier that is above 18.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just trying to think, how can somebody create a malicious, agent that will try to respond with something that is not true, right? So
But that's because underlying we're using the AironCred REST API that's built by the AironCred Foundation. So
mhm.
they have like the correct cryptographic way to do those selective disclosures. So the ideal way is actually go look how they do it on their side to make sure you can
Right.
selectively disclose one thing. This is very, very detailed. This what I'm showing you now is basically two agents using that API and talking to each other.
Right. Yeah, but at some point on some side runs a code basically to make that assertion, right? And then create a cryptographic proof of that result, basically, of that assertion
Yeah.
that the other side can verify, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right. I'll research in more in depth, but I think I understand now a bit better. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Bassam. That great presentation. Glad it's working out finally. And thanks, Gerald, as well, for coming by and sharing with what you guys are doing with Africa Blockchain Center as well as PLP. So yes, we've come to the end of our call. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully on the Maintaining and Contributor call, and I'll be posting the meeting minutes a little bit later this evening once the video is loaded, or early tomorrow morning. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you guys.